On September 8, 2017, Taylor Wright, a 33-year-old recently divorced private investigator, was enjoying life with her girlfriend, Cassandra Waller. The two had just moved in together, and everything was going well, despite the stressful divorce proceedings that Taylor was going through with her ex-husband. That day, Taylor left the house to meet with a friend to relax a bit. But this decision changed not only her life, but the lives of everyone around her. So, today, we will look at the events that occurred in Pensacola, Florida. Taylor was born on April 23, 1984. When she was 19 years old, she met Jeff Wright. Their relationship had both ups and downs, but they still loved each other. 3 years after they met, they decided to get married. After Taylor graduated from the University of North Carolina in 2008, she took a job as a police officer in Jacksonville, North Carolina. In 2011, Taylor and Jeff had a son. Like many other couples who have just become parents, they have faced some challenges. Gradually, their relationship began to deteriorate, and as a result, in 2015, they started the divorce process, which was not easy. Jeff believed that Taylor was cheating on him. Soon after, Taylor moved to Pensacola and started living with Cassandra Waller, confirming Jeff's suspicions. Taylor and Jeff's divorce process was difficult because they could not agree on who their son would stay with. The financial component played an equally important role in this process. By this time, Taylor was no longer working for the police. She quit and became a private investigator. She had attacked Jeff several times and followed him when he was picking up their son. Taylor was arrested several times, and her behavior ruined her reputation. As a result, in 2016, Jeff received full custody of their son, which infuriated Taylor. Taylor wasn't ready to give up, initiating a new lawsuit. Yet, the former spouses could not come to a joint decision. In September 2017, they had serious financial disagreements. Deciding not to share money with Jeff, Taylor withdrew $100,000 from their joint account without his knowledge. But it was against court orders. The money in the account was supposed to be used for child support, but Taylor decided to empty the account. To hide the money, she split it up between her friends for temporary safekeeping. One of those friends was Ashley MacArthur, a former crime scene technician she had known for over a year. During this time, they had become quite close friends, and Taylor entrusted her with $34,000. Taylor had many problems, and soon, when she needed the money she had given Ashley for safekeeping, the problems became even bigger. Taylor repeatedly asked her friend to return the money, but the latter always found a new reason not to do so. She did not have time to withdraw it. There were problems with the bank, and so on. At some point, Taylor had a strong suspicion the money was gone. She persistently demanded that Ashley return the entire amount, but her friend never did, each time coming up with new excuses. On the evening of September 7, 2017, Taylor Wright and Cassandra Waller went to a restaurant for dinner. During dinner, Taylor told Cassandra about her problems and money worries. She talked a lot about Ashley and the money she didn't want to return. Taylor was sure there was something fishy there and that Ashley was stalling on purpose. Cassandra supported and comforted Taylor in every possible way, trying to convince her that the situation would be resolved. At the same time, she also suspected that the money was gone. Taylor told Cassandra that the next day, September 8th, she and Ashley were to meet and go to the bank to get her $34,000. On the morning of September 8th, Cassandra was going to work. As she was saying goodbye to Taylor, she saw Ashley sitting in a car near the driveway. Ashley came to meet with Taylor to finally sort out the problems with the bank. That morning, Cassandra saw Taylor for the last time. As the day progressed, Cassandra Waller lost contact with Taylor when she stopped responding to her text messages. She contacted Ashley, who said that Taylor had been stressed and crying throughout the day and needed time to herself. Things got even more strange when Taylor seemingly bailed on dinner plans with her girlfriend, telling Cassandra via text that she needed a few days to clear her head. Cassandra knew that as a private investigator, Taylor had the means and skills to disappear, and she grew worried. "I don't have any clue what's going on. I just know that something's not right. I was scared," Cassandra recalled. Although Cassandra received a text message from Taylor saying she needed time to clear her head, she suspected that Ashley, not Taylor, might have written that message. In the days that followed, Cassandra repeatedly tried to contact Taylor by phone, but she ignored her calls and messages. Yet, some of those messages were read. Taylor hadn't shown up at home, even though all her belongings were still there. Cassandra wanted to meet Taylor to make sure she was okay. Taylor's loved ones were also concerned because it was out of character for her to just disappear, especially without first contacting her young son. Cassandra then went to the police, who suggested that she reach out to Taylor's ex-husband, Jeff Wright, to investigate further on her own. Jeff told Cassandra that their son had also been trying to reach out to Taylor, but he had not gotten any response. He then issued a startling warning, telling Cassandra that Taylor may get angry with her for involving the police in her business and that she should be careful. Disturbed, Cassandra continued to search for her girlfriend and began calling hospitals in the area. After a week passed with no sign of Taylor, Cassandra filed a missing persons report, and authorities began an investigation. The investigators questioned Cassandra because she lived with Taylor and could tell a lot about her. They also searched their house and found Taylor's identity documents, cash, and a revolver. According to Cassandra, the weapon was bought solely for self-defense but was never used. Nothing else suspicious was found. But if Taylor decided to go somewhere, why didn't she take her ID, money, and belongings with her? Sitting in the interrogation room, Cassandra mentally asked herself a lot of questions. She quickly realized that the police were looking for clues that would help them link her to Taylor's disappearance. Despite this, she continued cooperating with the investigation to find out the truth. When her story was confirmed, the investigators switched to the next two people of interest, Taylor's ex-husband Jeff and her friend Ashley MacArthur. Since ex-partners are often involved in such cases, the theory that Taylor's ex-husband was involved in her disappearance looked quite convincing. They were still fighting for custody of their son and had financial disagreements. However, the version that Jeff could be involved in Taylor's disappearance was quickly ruled out, as he was in North Carolina all this time. Thus, the circle of potential suspects was narrowed down to one person, Ashley MacArthur. They reached out to Ashley, who was the last person among Taylor's friends to see her before she vanished. When Ashley was questioned at the police station, her behavior seemed strange. She was flirtatious and in high spirits, and it seemed she didn't care about her friend's disappearance. She said that a few weeks earlier, Taylor had withdrawn $34,000 from the joint account she shared with her ex-husband and given it to her for safekeeping during the divorce process. She also claimed that on the day they met, Taylor took the money, put it in a travel bag, and left. According to Ashley, she didn't think anything bad could have happened to her friend. In her first interview, Ashley told the detective that she had picked Taylor up on the morning of September 8th, and they drove to various locations during the day before going to MacArthur's family property to ride horses. Ashley claimed they then traveled back to her residence where Taylor had left in an Uber to go to a bar. In the police interview, Ashley was heard saying, "I don't believe Taylor's been harmed. I think Taylor is doing what Taylor does, but I don't know. She's always come across as being tough. She's always carrying weapons, whether it's knives or guns or whatever. She's not an easy target." According to Ashley's story, she has not seen or heard from Taylor since the latter got into the Uber and left. At the same time, Ashley allegedly tried to contact her by phone many times. After reviewing the messages between Ashley and Taylor, the investigators found numerous texts about money. It was obvious from the correspondence that Ashley was constantly finding new reasons not to return the money. After checking Ashley's statements, the investigators found no confirmation that Taylor had called Uber. With all this in mind, the police began to suspect that Ashley was hiding something, but they had no proof to charge her with anything. So far, the investigators had nothing but suspicions, so they let Ashley go. She contacted the police almost every day to see how the investigation was going. It seemed suspicious. After all, she had said earlier that she thought Taylor was fine. Ashley tried to help the investigators, remembering the new details of that day. She talked about several suspicious people she had seen Taylor with earlier. Although Ashley tried her best to show her interest, The detectives were still checking her possible involvement in her friend's disappearance. Ashley was supposed to give Taylor back her $34,000. The investigators knew that some people commit crimes for much less money, so they didn't rule out the possibility that Ashley might have gotten rid of her friend to avoid giving her back the money. Perhaps she had already spent it, so she was stalling in every way possible. When she realized that Taylor wouldn't leave her alone, perhaps she decided to get rid of the cause of her problems. Ashley's behavior confirmed this theory. There was another important reason why Ashley was on the list of suspects. MacArthur was a former crime scene technician. She had the knowledge that would allow her to carefully cover up the traces of the crime. Her husband Zachary was a former deputy sheriff, so there was a possibility that Ashley might have had connections with the police officers. Taylor was reported missing on September 14, 2017. In October, Ashley MacArthur was questioned for the second time. The investigators noticed serious changes in her behavior. She used to be outgoing and even flirtatious, but now she was very nervous. She realized that if she was being questioned a second time, it meant that the police had some evidence against her. And she was right. While weeks passed and Taylor failed to appear, a break in the case was not made until the investigators were finally granted access to Taylor's phone records. Within them, they discovered that Ashley's story of where she and Taylor had been on the day she vanished did not match up with where the phone records placed them. Authorities zeroed in on Ashley and began searching her and her husband's bank and phone records. They soon learned that on the day that Taylor was last seen alive, Ashley had made numerous calls from another property owned by the MacArthurs in a different part of town than where Ashley originally claimed to have been. Additionally, authorities learned that Ashley had deposited Taylor's $34,000 check into her bank account. While records showed that Zachary was not in the area on the day of Taylor's disappearance, suspicion toward Ashley continued to grow. Authorities were able to obtain a search warrant for 3 different properties owned by the MacArthurs, and on the day that they planned to execute the warrants, they invited Ashley down to the station for an interview to keep her out of the way. It was established that Ashley forged Taylor's signature on the check, but perhaps there was something much more sinister behind it all. Mobile phone records showed that Ashley lied about where she and Taylor were on the day the latter disappeared. You would probably agree that a person who worked as a crime scene technician and knew how the investigative process worked would lie during questioning. A sheriff's office spokesperson confirmed MacArthur worked as a sheriff's office crime scene technician from approximately June through November of 2006. According to the spokesperson, MacArthur resigned voluntarily. So, while the police were searching the properties owned by MacArthurs, Ashley was in the interrogation room and was very nervous. Her answers to the questions became more and more confusing. She was unable to come up with a convincing explanation when detectives pointed out the discrepancies between her statements and the information obtained during the investigation. Ashley insisted that Taylor had taken an Uber to buy illegal substances and then returned to the farm. She hadn't talked about it before, and it caught the attention of the investigators. They wanted to find out the reason for the concealment of this important information. Ashley replied that she didn't want to ruin Taylor's reputation. If everyone found out that Taylor was an occasional illegal substance user, it could have had a negative impact on her career as a private investigator. But why didn't Ashley call the police right away if her friend was supposed to be back but never showed up? After all, she could have been in danger. Ashley tried to show her concern, yet she didn't even try to find her friend. Why didn't she pay attention to what was happening until she was called in for questioning? All these questions remained unanswered, and the investigators were sure that Ashley was being dishonest with them. When the woman realized the police knew she was lying, she refused to answer further questions and demanded a lawyer. While Ashley denied having anything to do with Taylor's disappearance, a search team combed the farm where phone records showed Ashley and Taylor had been together on the day that she went missing. They initially turned up empty-handed, and investigators were forced to release Ashley. It was the morning of October 19, 2017. Later that day, the officers who continued to search the farm using police dogs came across a disturbing find. It was a small pit, recently dug into the ground, which had been carelessly concreted. Using a construction tool, the police officers started digging in that place, and the first thing they saw was a human skull with a bullet hole. The remains were in a shallow grave covered with earth and construction debris, and then concreted over. Someone was obviously trying to do everything possible to hide the body. The investigators began extracting the body and found a necklace that they had seen Taylor wearing in a photo. The examination confirmed that the remains belonged to Taylor Wright. 40-year-old Ashley MacArthur was arrested on the same evening on October 19, 2017. She was charged with taking the life of Taylor Wright. The trial began in August 2019. During the opening statement, Ashley MacArthur's defense attorney told the jury that there was no evidence linking his client to the crime. The prosecutor, however, argued that cell phone data and security footage that will be introduced during the trial will link Ashley Britt MacArthur to the 2017 death of Taylor Wright. In his opening statement, Ashley MacArthur's defense attorney, John Barroset, said the case lacked physical evidence. Barroset told jurors that no scientific, expert, or eyewitness testimony would be presented to demonstrate beyond a reasonable doubt that his client had anything to do with Taylor's death. He also called into question Taylor Wright's mental stability, referring to rumors that the woman had taken illegal substances around the time of her disappearance. The prosecutor, Assistant State Attorney Bridget Jensen, argued Ashley had a clear motive to kill Taylor: money. Jensen said when Taylor needed the money for court proceedings and to cover child support costs, she sent numerous text messages to Ashley requesting access to the funds, but Ashley found excuses to delay giving the money back to Taylor. On September 8, 2017, Ashley and Taylor agreed to meet in person and discuss the money. Ashley went missing that same day, Jensen pointed out. Another of Ashley's secrets was revealed during the trial. Ashley couldn't return the money to Taylor, as she had spent almost all of it. It became known that Ashley MacArthur, a married woman, had a secret affair with a man named Brandon Beatty. It was revealed that Ashley used Taylor's money to buy a boat for her secret lover. In court, Brandon admitted that Ashley constantly gave him expensive gifts, but he had no idea where she was getting the money from. Ashley MacArthur told the investigators that she and Taylor were riding horses at the farm on the day the latter disappeared. But the prosecutor told the jury that, according to cell tower records, Ashley MacArthur was far from the farm at the time she said she was there. Taylor Wright's body was found in October 2017, buried in a shallow grave on a piece of land owned by the MacArthur family. The grave was covered by concrete and potting soil. The prosecutor, Assistant State Attorney Bridget Jensen, told jurors they would also see a surveillance video taken from a local Home Depot of MacArthur purchasing potting soil and concrete in the days after Taylor Wright's disappearance. Detective Richard Gigliotti testified that when the investigators found Wright's body, what was left was a skeleton concealed under concrete and potting mix. Gigliotti said a projectile was found lodged in the back of the skull, but the condition of it made it difficult to match to a specific firearm. Ashley's defense attorney claimed she had back problems and would not have been able to move Taylor's body. Taylor was better prepared physically, so the defense tried to question the prosecutor's version. The attorney based his tactics on the fact that the police had no direct evidence of Ashley's guilt. There was no crime weapon, witnesses, or DNA evidence. The attorney argued that the type of bullet that fatally wounded Taylor Wright could not be accurately matched to any of the firearms presented by the prosecution as evidence. Even though Jeff, Taylor's ex-husband, was checked at the early stages of the investigation and was excluded from the list of suspects because of a reliable alibi, Ashley's defense attorney tried to present him as a person who had a motive to take Taylor's life. but these attempts failed. During the trial, it became known that Ashley boasted about her plans to take Taylor's life. One local bartender and friend of Ashley, Audrey Warren, alleged in court that she had told her plans to overdose Taylor on a strong illegal substance. She said she was going to put the substance in Taylor's beer, Audrey said. She said this world would be better if Taylor wasn't here and she wasn't a good person, once that she was too small to hurt anybody, so she'd just shoot them. The charges related to Taylor Wright's death were not the only ones Ashley MacArthur faced. During a week-long trial, jurors heard evidence that while working at her family business, Pensacola Automatic Amusement, from 2015 to 2017, MacArthur embezzled thousands of dollars from clients, the Azalea Cocktail Lounge and Seville Quarter. Pensacola Automatic Amusement serviced entertainment machines and jukeboxes for various clients in the Pensacola area for 40 years. At trial, witnesses testified that Pensacola Automatic Amusement typically operates on an arrangement where the company splits the revenue from the rented machines 50/50ths with clients. However, MacArthur allegedly violated the agreement by only handing over half of the cash proceeds. Payments made via debit cards, credit cards, or smartphone apps she kept for herself, prosecutors claim. According to charging documents, between July 2015 and June 2017, MacArthur pocketed about $13,000 in profits that should have gone to the Azalea and approximately $300 that belonged to Seville. Jurors heard evidence that a fire broke out at Pensacola Automatic Amusement the day MacArthur was scheduled to meet with the Azalea's management about the missing revenue. In testifying before the jury, an investigator for the state fire marshal's office said there were two separate fires, one in a downstairs hallway and another in an open space on the second floor. An analyst who tested samples from the scene of the blaze reported finding traces of kerosene or diesel fuel. According to witnesses, the business's security alarm triggered twice in the late night, early morning hours before the fire, and MacArthur went by both times to check things out. In statements to investigators, she said the building seemed fine both times, but when she went to work around 9 a.m., she noticed fog around the building and called the fire department. She reportedly told investigators the fire may have been caused by disgruntled ex-employees. Larry Johnson, a former Pensacola City Council member and the owner of the Azalea Cocktail Lounge, described MacArthur as a world-class con artist. "This is a very dangerous individual," he told the court. "I believe there are other people who have been harmed and haven't come forward. She's a world-class con artist. She conned me, and I believe she deserves a significant prison sentence." After hearing the arguments, Judge Jan Shackelford sentenced MacArthur to 84 months in state prison, followed by 3 years of probation. Now, let's get back to the Taylor Wright case. The jury deliberated for more than 2 hours to render the guilty verdict. After a 4-day trial, a jury found Ashley guilty, and a judge sentenced her to life in prison with a mandatory 25 years served. MacArthur appealed, seeking a new trial because the jury inadvertently saw a photo of MacArthur pointing a shotgun. She also argued that the trial court erroneously admitted statements she made to law enforcement, certain cell phone records, and the victim's text messages. Her attempt to appeal the verdict failed. As of 2024, MacArthur remains incarcerated at Lowell Annex Correctional Institution in Ocala, currently serving out her sentence of life in prison with a minimum of 25 years.